Good morning, students. In the last class, we have discussed magnetization and also we started discussing the elements of Earth's magnetic field. So today we are going to continue discussion of uh, Earth's magnetic field, and let us start straight away. I will just have a quick review of what are the elements of Earth's magnetic field, and then we will learn them one by one. Let me share my screen with you. So what are the magnetic elements of Earth? What are the
Declination, and the Earth's
declination?
magnetic
Then,
horizontal Earth's magnetic field.
yeah, horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field, and also you have inclination or dip. So we already learned what is meant by declination. Who can tell me what is meant by declination?
The angle between the geographic meridian and magnetic meridian.
Utter
At the place.
place is called the declination at that place. And what does that mean if the declination is negative?
It's west. I mean, the
uh,
angle is west.
it
Yes.
means that the magnetic meridian is
West from the
towards the west
towards the
of
west.
the true north, true north or geographic north. And what does it mean if we take that the declination at Dhaka is 0.5 degree? What does that mean?
The angle between the meridian and the geographic is 0.5 degree at Dhaka.
Yeah, at Dhaka, angle between the magnetic meridian and
Magnetic
geographic meridian
meridian.
is 0.5 degree Dhaka, and it's actually minus 0.5 degree,
That
which
means it's to the towards the west, right?
towards the west. Okay. And we are now in Manama, right? In Bahrain. So I also collected the value of mm, declination in Manama. It's positive. What does that mean? It means that it's
Towards the
positive.
east.
Yeah. The magnetic meridian is
Towards
from
the
the
east.
north or true north or the geographic north. The magnetic meridian have a declination of 2 degree 53 minutes towards the east. Okay, so that is what we call declination, which is one of the elements of Earth's magnetism. And now
Teacher,
let us see. Yes.
how can we calculate the magnetic declination? We have this topic, how to calculate it.
No. You just have
Okay.
to know how to define declination and what is the meaning of, if
Okay.
you are given a value for declination, what is its meaning? If it is positive, you can tell that it turns towards the east of the true north, and if it is negative, you have to tell that it is turning towards the uh, west of the true north. Only that you have to know. How this is calculated exactly, you don't have to worry about now.
Yes, teacher.
So
Okay.
let us see what is meant by dip or declination. Dip or declination, which is represented by the symbol delta. Magnetic inclination or dip is the angle that the Earth's magnetic field makes with the horizontal at a place. Now, what is meant by horizontal at a place? So if I am standing here, the ground level is called the horizontal at the place. So it is the ground level. Now, when you take the globe, the earth, any at this point, the horizontal will be the tangent drawn at this point. So if you take at any point on the surface of earth, the ground level or the tangent drawn at that place is called the horizontal. Okay. Now, you know that a magnetic compass has its north pole and south pole. We always thought that the magnetic compass is carrying along the horizontal. but it is not. Actually, the magnetic compass is not staying along the horizontal. At a place, it stays with an inclination, with a dip from the horizontal. And at different places on the Earth's surface, the dip will be different. We will see why. Here, you can see the globe. You can see the globe, right? When we place a magnetic compass, suppose this is a magnetic compass and this is the north pole of the magnetic compass and this is the south pole of the compass. We know why it is facing towards the north and south, because this north pole is attracted by the magnetic south of the earth and the south pole is attracted by the magnetic north of the earth. That is why the magnetic compass always directs along the north-south direction. Now, if you place a magnetic compass here at the equator, both the north pole and the south pole will be attracted equally because it is at the middle, at the equator. There, the dip is zero, which means at the equator, the magnetic compass will align in the horizontal direction. There is no dip because the North Pole and the South Pole will be attracted by both ends of the earth almost equally. So near the equator, there is no dip. But when we move towards the northern hemisphere, we know that the North Pole is now attracted by the uh, pole, south pole, magnetic south pole of the earth more. So what happens? It tends to go down a little bit from the horizontal because it is attracted more now. It's more nearer to the north pole than to the south pole. So both ends are not attracted in the same way. North pole will feel more attraction, so it tends to have more inclination as we go towards the north. So when we reach the North Pole, what happens? It is completely attracted and the compass will stay like this along the vertical because the North Pole will be completely attracted by the Earth. So it will stay like that. So if this is the equator, it will be, suppose this is the equator and this is the North Pole. So here near the equator, there is equal attraction on both sides. There is no dip. So like this. And as it goes to the North Pole, what happens? The North is more attracted. So there is a dip which increases. And finally, when it becomes the North Pole, it will stay like this along the vertical, which means what is the value of dip here at the pole?
0.
Near the equator, it is 0. But
Okay. 90.
it will become 90 degree because it is standing in the vertical. See here, this is the dip, right? In the equator, it is standing in horizontal. When you reach the pole, it will stand along.
Jaman mute kor.
What?
No, teacher, I just said Jaman to mute because it's making some noises. That's why.
Okay. Jaman, please mute.
So sorry.
That's okay. So when you go to the pole, what happens? The magnetic compass will stand like this because the North Pole will completely attract the compass and the dip will become 90 degree. So you have the magnetic inclination or dip is the angle that the Earth's magnetic field makes with the horizontal at a place. If the dip of the place is delta degree north, means it is northwards is dipping. It means that the place is in the northern hemisphere and the north pole of the magnetic needle will be inclined at an angle delta from the horizontal. Now, what does it mean if the dip at a place is delta degree south? Suppose the dip
It is in the southern hemisphere.
it's in the southern hemisphere and the south pole of the magnetic needle will be inclined at an angle of delta from the horizontal. So the dip in Dhaka is 31 degree north. What does that mean? The dip in Dhaka is 31 degree north. What does that mean? Can you tell me? Hasina, can you tell me what does that mean?
Can you repeat the question?
The dip in Dhaka is 31 degree north. What does that mean?
The value of delta is 31 degree.
Yes, north.
Yes.
North is the northern hemisphere,
Dhaka is in northern hemisphere and
and the horizontal inclined is
31 degree.
31 degree.
the north pole of the magnetic needle. You have to tell the north pole of the magnetic needle at Dhaka will be inclined at an angle of 31 degree from the horizontal. This can be a 2 marks question. This was a 2 marks question. So you have to tell not only that Dhaka is in northern hemisphere, you also have to tell that the north pole of the magnetic needle will be inclined at an angle 31 degree from the horizontal. Is that clear?
Yes,
So
teacher.
that is called declination or dip. Now the dip at the equator will be 0 and the dip at the regions near the poles will be 90 degree. So at two regions you can see 90 degree, one near the north pole and the other near the south pole. So a north pole near the Hudson Bay region of northern Canada, you can see that it's 90 degree because that will be the point that coincide with the Earth's magnetic south pole. And near Antarctica, you can also see that the angle is 90 degree. Antarctica is near the south pole, which means in Antarctica lies the magnetic north pole of Earth. Is that clear about dip or declination?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So
Yes,
now
teacher.
let us see the third element of Earth's magnetic field. What was that? You remember the third element of Earth's magnetic field?
Horizontal component.
Horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field. You know that any vector can be resolved into vertical and horizontal components. Any vector A, you can always resolve a vector A along the x direction and y direction, right? Along the x direction, we call it the horizontal component, and along the y direction, we call it the vertical component. So Earth's magnetic field, you know, here there is a diagram that shows the declination, that is the angle between the geographic meridian and the magnetic meridian between these two planes, and also angle of dip, delta, that is between the magnetic field and the horizontal. So this magnetic field, Earth's magnetic field at some place will have a dip or an inclination. Therefore, we can resolve this magnetic field B along the horizontal, that is along the x direction, and along the vertical, that is along the y direction. Here it is along the negative direction of x-axis and negative direction of y-axis. It doesn't matter. So along the horizontal and along the vertical, we can resolve this vector B. And the horizontal component is usually represented by BH and the vertical component is represented by BV. So can you tell me what will be BH? What will be BH? If this angle is theta, what will be BH?
BH sin theta.
Will it be sine theta?
Cos.
Cos. It will be BH cos theta. Can you see the whiteboard now?
Yes.
You can see the whiteboard, right? So let me just show you, like any vector can be resolved into two directions. So the magnetic field vector also can be resolved into two directions. So you have any vector A can be resolved into two directions along the x-axis. If this angle is theta, we will call this region as a cos theta. And we can call this as a sin theta. So the side where theta touches is called cos theta and the other side is called sin theta. Is that clear? You have already learned this, right? Any vector
Yes,
can be
teacher.
resolved into two directions. So that is what we have done here. We have resolved the magnetic field into two directions, and the one with which it makes an angle delta is called the horizontal component, and the other component is called the vertical component. So we have BH, the horizontal component will be B cos delta, and BV, the vertical component will be B sin delta. Or tan theta will be equal to the vertical component by horizontal component. That is sin delta divided by cos delta. Sin delta will be BV by B. Cos delta will be BH by B. So if we substitute these two values, we will get tan delta is equal to BV by BH. So if we take sin square delta plus cos square delta, we have BV by BH square by B square plus BV square by B square. So what is sin square theta plus cos square theta? 1. So I have written it as 1, and BH square by B square plus BV square by B square. So B square is common here. So I'm taking that to the other side. So I have B square is equal to BH square plus BV square, or B is equal to root of BH square plus BV square. So if we know the horizontal component and dip, we can find BV using this equation, right? And once we know BV and BH, we can find the magnetic field B is equal to root of BH square plus BV square. So if we know the horizontal component and the inclination, we can find the magnetic field at a place. Is this clear to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, teacher.
So we have so far discussed the elements of Earth's magnetic field, and we have discussed the declination, dip, and horizontal component, which are known as the elements of Earth's magnetic field, and we have described that in detail. Now, let us see how different substances can be classified based on their magnetic properties. Okay, so all the materials can be classified based on their magnetic properties as diamagnetic substances, paramagnetic substances, ferromagnetic substances, antiferromagnetic substances, and ferrimagnetic substances. So mostly we will be discussing about three kinds of substances, which are diamagnetic, paramagnetic, and ferromagnetic. Then we will discuss few points related to antiferromagnetic substances and ferrimagnetic substances. Do you remember something which we discussed before regarding diamagnetic substances?
Yes.
What do you remember?
The diamonds, two magnet
Two,
substances, I think.
two electrons means diamagnetic substances will have even number of electrons, and they will have two opposite spins, so they cancel each other, and therefore they do not have a effective dipole moment, or they do not behave like magnetic substances. So diamagnetic substances are usually non-magnetic substances. And paramagnetic substances, they have some odd number of electrons in their atoms. So we will see in detail about each one of them. Okay, so here you have a small description of each type of material. Diamagnetic material have even number of electrons, so no permanent magnetic moment. They are not magnetic materials. Now, if we place them in an external magnetic field, they get slightly magnetized in a direction opposite to the applied magnetic field. So they do not appreciate magnetism, diamagnetic materials. Now we have another kind of materials which are called paramagnetic. They have net magnetic moment in the absence of external magnetic field, because they have partially filled PDF orbitals and they have unpaired electrons, which means they have odd number of electrons. So they will have a small magnetic moment even if there are no external magnetic field. And if they are placed in an external magnetic field, all these atoms, they will be in the direction, they will be aligned in the direction of the external magnetic field applied. If there are no external magnetic field, they have a small magnetic moments. Each atom will have some small magnetic moments, but they will be aligned in different directions. So the net magnetic moment will not be large. It will be very small. But when they are placed in a external magnetic field, what happens? All of them will get aligned. Now we have another kind of substance called ferromagnetic materials. They exhibit spontaneous magnetism due to an internal field arising due to mutual interaction between the domains. And when placed in an external magnetic field, they occur very large and permanent magnetization in the direction of field. So ferromagnetic materials are iron and ore. They are easily magnetized. As soon as we place them near a magnet, they become magnetized. And they will develop a large magnetic field, and they can also be converted to permanent magnets. So they are very strong, ferromagnetic materials. And we will further discuss in detail about each one of them. Then, okay, then we have antiferromagnetic materials. So before that, I would like to explain more about paramagnetic substances. In paramagnetic substances, yes?
So can you give examples of this material type?
Yeah, I will give examples and we will see more about them. Okay, so before that, I just want to stop sharing the screen and show on the whiteboard something related to them. So we saw that paramagnetic substances, they have magnetic moment, but when they are placed in a magnetic field, they will develop a magnetic moment, right? So in paramagnetic materials, in paramagnetic, suppose this is the paramagnetic material. In that, they have a lot of dipole moments, but they are oriented in different directions. So in the absence of an external magnetic field, when there is no external magnetic field, what happened? This is how they are. Okay. Now, if we put them in an external magnetic field, in external magnetic field, what happens? they will align in the direction of the external magnetic field. This is what is happening in paramagnetic
So these
substances.
are the electrons, right?
These are atoms. Yes, these are due to electrons in the atoms. So
Okay.
suppose one atom, they have one unpaired electron. So that atom will have some magnetic property due to that unpaired electron, and they will be randomly oriented. Each atom will be randomly oriented. But in the case of a external magnetic field, what happens if we place it in that? It will align. Now, when you remove the external magnetic field, they will get back to the random orientation and the magnetic field is lost. Okay, so they will behave like a magnet only when they are placed in the magnetic field. If we remove the external magnetic field, there is no more magnetization. But in a ferromagnetic substance, what happens is these atoms are not oriented individually. They exist as groups or called domains. Okay, they exist not as individual atoms. They are like closed community. So in domain means in a small region, all this will be oriented in one particular direction. And if I take a neighboring domain, maybe they are oriented in a different direction in the absence of external magnetic field. If there is no external field, magnetic field, each of this, no external magnetic field. Each of this domain may be oriented in a different direction. But each of these domains contain 10 raised to maybe 10 raised to 13 something atoms. So they are a group of atoms. They behave similarly. So instead of individual, what they have is domains. Each domain contains a large number of atoms which are oriented in a particular direction. But in the absence of an external magnetic field, what is the problem? Each of these domains are oriented in different direction. So there may not be a strong magnetic field. But when we keep that in an external magnetic field, if we keep them in an external magnetic field, what happens is all these domains will get aligned in the direction of the applied magnetic field. So all the domains is now aligned in the external magnetic field. Okay. Now, can you guess what will happen if you remove the external magnetic field? Will they go back to the original state?
Yes.
Not very easily like the paramagnetic. They are individual persons, so they can go easily back to their random state. But they are domains. They are like communities which are stuck together. So even if you remove the external magnetic field, all the domains may not go back to the random orientation, and therefore even in the absence of an external magnetic field, still they will retain some amount of magnetism, because it is not very easy to break all the domains. They are communities, groups. So that is why the ferromagnetic substance are strongly magnetic in nature compared to the paramagnetic substances. In paramagnetic substances, each of them are individual. They are not in group. Therefore, they can go back to the original state. So they are not as strongly magnetic as the ferromagnetic substances. Is that clear to you?
Yes.
Yes, teacher. Teacher,
Yeah. Yes.
teacher,
Yes.
we'll
Yes.
continue in the next class,
Yeah.
please.
I will continue in the next class. I will continue that in the next class.
We did 2 physics classes today.
You had to.
The head is too full, teacher, right now.
Your head is okay. So